Namaste. I'd like to start off with just chanting Om 3 times. Take a deep breath. Om. All right. Normally I'm a teacher, and so I don't go on Facebook and make a lot of spiritual comments. I teach, and I always teach beginning with usually the long version of the Gayatri mantra. And when I decided to make these little video clips, I began by being very personal, as I always am personal, but without, holding a deep spiritual space consciously. And so if I'm going to continue to convey messages, I feel like that aspect needs to be in here, because that is one of the pieces that I've been aware of that's needing to shift in my own life and in my own consciousness and in my own teachings. I think when I was going through my transformation 20 years ago, and many of you may not even know that I didn't even know what enlightenment was. I, simply wanted to be happy. And as I began to read and feel and understand more about God, about spirit within me, I developed this great love of this internal presence. And over time, I simply fell in love with it. And soon thereafter, I gave myself my entire life, every moment, to God. And within 6 months, I think a guru appeared, and within 8 months, I went through a powerful spiritual transformation that began with a 2-hour experience, powerful awakening, and then 8 months of my body going through what I didn't understand at the time was a Kundalini awakening. I knew nothing about that back then. So I've been holding this consciousness, and yet I remember during my transformation, the one thing I said was I didn't know what was happening. I knew something powerful was going on. And I just said to this great spirit within, please don't turn me into one of those, those beings, people that I saw that were always looking spiritual and kind of floating around. I really wanted to keep me, my personality, my persona. I didn't want, there was something false, I guess, that I felt when I saw all those the teachers that were looking like that, and I just didn't want to turn into them. But I think somewhere along the line, I kind of went overboard in wanting to be regular, even though I was holding this great consciousness. And many times when I'm coming back to India, Spirit will say to me, could you please just wear a little more white? Because the truth is, most people aren't going to recognize your spiritual power, aren't going to recognize what you are. They can't understand that. And so by having more of the external garb on, it will attract them, it will let them in. And by keeping my personality so strong, I think that's been a deterrent to many people. But it's not that so much as I'm just really feeling the need to embody the full presence of what I am and have been, and hasn't changed in all those years, not one moment, even with this illness. So once again, I just want to report that I am feeling great. I just feel wonderful. I feel like myself. And I'm enjoying and watching the shifts that are occurring during this time of lockdown. So I'm going to speak more from what it is to be held within, because that's what the virus did. I mean, it took me to the edge, but it's really made me be secluded, as every one of you are experiencing. And I'm going to share some of my personal experiences, but I'm going to always begin with just Spirit, just sharing what needs to come through. And today I'd like to talk briefly about money. You know, when I put that little video up about a month ago, that was one of the things that I said was really important to look at. And now, of course, we see how important money is during this time. And I want to share that as we move through this experience and everything that is being impacted by it, we have to see how our finances have done the job for us. You know, if we have money, then we can be okay in the world. When money is less, then we are not okay. Yes, we feel it. We go into fear. We go into panic. We may then start working extra hard or doing anything to make sure we have money. But now, when so many people's money is being affected, we're not able to be ourselves that we are when we have money, when it's not an issue in any way. And so I want people to really consider who they are without money. If you had no money, what would you be? How would you see yourself? What is your perception of who you are? The view is, I am great when I have it, and when I don't, I am less. And this is what has to shift. We must shift to a knowingness of our greatness with or without it. Now, this is very important for those who have, but it's even more important for those who don't have, because they're in that state a lot of the time. When we have it, we don't often have to face our fears. We don't often have to deal with many of the issues that are facing the planet. We are safe. We are, surrounded by wealth, and that's our protection. But behind that is a vibration of, I don't know what I am. I don't know what I like. I don't know what I know. I don't know anything about me really, except I'm okay when I have this money. And if we strip off the money, we need to know what our value is, just as a human being. It is so important. We do have value whether we have money or not. And as we begin to value the truth of who we are, the integrity that we have, the honesty that we have, the love that we have, we really begin to see what true wealth is. When we have inner wealth, there is a natural movement of energy that will attract external wealth. But it needs to be based on a vibration of, I am wonderful. I am wealth. I am power. I am valued. So I want to work with people who haven't had that external wealth. And when you have lack in your external, you often feel your own internal lack more consciously every day. As you walk down the street, you're able to see things you can have or can't have. You know, I don't have enough money to purchase this. Because we have placed our value on what we can purchase, we are diminished. We feel less than. And healing those aspects is so important during this crisis. If we could take 5 minutes every day and just feel what we value in ourselves, what we are without money. Am I wonderful? Am I worthy? Am I powerful? And that's what I'm really trying to get to, is an idea of power. Because internal power is what allows us to create in the world, in addition to this inner knowingness of your own true wealth and value. When we have that, there is a fire within that pushes up this vibration, and we can create powerfully in the world. I need us all to have true power. Obviously not the power that we've been seeing on the planet in recent times. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about and what I'm talking about. It's not one person. But we have to learn to have our own power, our own value. So we're going to work with this over a period of time. I'm considering putting together a little workshop, something short. If you're interested, send me a message. And I also want to talk about personal power from my personal perspective. I have come to see how changes in my childhood took away my own personal sense of power. How coming from a particular background where a lot of black families used to say, we're going to put the fear of God in that child, and a lot of spankings, or we call them whippings, but child abuse basically occurred as part of a culture, that came from slavery. Some of these habits are from back there. But when a child, as myself, received such physical, verbal, or emotional abuse, their power was squelched. The fire was washed away, with water away, and we were unable to create successfully in the world. I can remember as a child being unable to stand up for myself on the school grounds if someone yelled at me. And I can see how that has manifested in my life. There are times when my friends who are not of color, or not friends, but people who I've come in contact with, have taken a very powerful stance of, Kamala, speak to me. Kamala, don't walk away from me. As if they have the ability or the power to say such a thing to me. And many people of color have heard that over a lifetime. And many people who aren't of color feel that they have that power to say such a thing. It's a very difficult vibration to move out of. But until we own our own personal power and understand that that false power is inappropriate, this world will never be righted. I have had to really work with those things in my childhood that caused that imbalance, that squelched my power, and allow myself to fire up from within, to look at life with a new vibration of I can do whatever I want to do and have whatever I would like to have in this lifetime, beyond my spiritual powers, but as a human being on the earth. All right, that's enough. Many blessings. Namaste.